Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent Podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We got a special one for y'all tonight, but before we get into that, fellas, happy belated Father's Day. How y'all kings doing?
Doing good, man. Had a good
Yeah.
weekend. What about you,
I'm
bro?
good.
How was Father's Day?
All right, it was good, I guess. I'm a father against my will.
Hey, sound like Anthony Edwards.
Right.
And anyone who knows me knows I don't have kids, and anyone who knows me knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey, man. Take care of some house rules. Like, share, subscribe. Tell any and everybody about the podcast. We trying to be here for a good time and a long time. Speaking of podcasts, being here for a good time and a long time, Bron has kept it going with the pod, Mind the Game. Steve Nash is there. He came out recently. From this episode was a lot bad conversation. There was a lot of different snippets that came from this episode, but specifically, Bron said a ring is a team accomplishment. I don't know where ring culture started, especially when it comes to me individually. Now, with these comments right here, it's been setting the social media ablaze. Is Bron comments him basically coming to terms with he won't catch Mike, or is it facts, but people just don't like the messenger?
It's facts, and people don't like the messenger. It's 100% true. I've been saying it for as long as I can remember, and outside of a couple sports, championships is something that depends on a group of people getting a job done, right? If you're talking about tennis, talking about boxing, you're talking about those type of things, individual sports, fine. But you're talking about football, you're talking about basketball, baseball, right? Like that stuff right there, like that's a team accomplishment type of situation. So you can't hold that over the head of an individual player, unless of course their performance directly affected the team's ability to get it done. They were close, and their performance hindered their ability to get the job done. That's a lot different. But if that's not the case, and they played as great as they could, and the team just couldn't get over the hump, right? Because again, team sport, then I don't see how we could even have that conversation. Like I don't even see how championships could be the differentiating factor between two players. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not a mark of individual greatness. Sometimes it can be if you drag a team there and you get them across the finish line. But for the most part, right, it's going to be a team accomplishment. It just is. So he's absolutely right. This whole conversation started when LeBron started threatening like Michael Jordan's top spot, right? When people started to realize how great LeBron was and that LeBron could actually be the GOAT and that he had that level of talent. And that's when you saw this whole thing shift. Because before that, there really weren't conversations about rings being an inhibiting factor in a guy's argument about whether or not he could be a GOAT or a great player or where his status was on the all-time great list. That wasn't a thing that we were really even talking about. So yeah, I mean, I think that it really the Jordan stands and the Jordan propaganda and people that are older than us out there pushing that narrative about rings to make sure that they keep their dad Michael Jordan up top, and that's what that's been. That's what that's been. And I get it. I get it. Like I wouldn't do it, to be honest. I wouldn't do it, but I understand why they're doing it, because when you watch Bron play and you see him and you saw him in his prime, I can see why you'd feel threatened right away. I can see why you would, because he was that great, and he's been that great.
I mean, I feel like winning is something that's important for anybody's legacy. Like, sure, like when you look at Jerry West, he lost a bunch of times to them Celtics teams, and is that all his fault? No. I mean, those teams were much better. The Lakers had some tough luck, lost a lot of games in game sevens or series in game seven. So you could look at it that way, that he was great, regardless if he only won one championship or if he was able to get 10 like Bill Russell. But like the rings define you too. Like I don't think we talk about Bill Russell as much if he only had like one or two rings, because they dominated at a time when there was so much going on in the country, and this is a black guy in Boston who's dominating the way he is. I mean, the rings matter. So when LeBron says it, I don't want to say it feels like a cop out, but I see it as him kind of like covering his own ass. Like, sure, like I'm at the end of the road. Um, I'm not going to probably win another ring, and he's come. I feel like he came to terms with that like after the bubble. Like the Lakers didn't do much to help him build a sustainable winning team over there. So a ring was not in the cards after the bubble, which whatever. He's second greatest. It's always up for debate. So there's not much he can do about it with the ring discourse. But to say like they make a bigger deal about it, yeah, they make a bigger deal about it. Like Eli is a Hall of Famer because of what he did in the playoffs, because of the rings that he won. People wouldn't acknowledge Eli for being a great quarterback or a good quarterback. He doesn't win anything. Average guy. So the difference is he has 2 rings. He beat the GOAT. He did stuff that other guys haven't done. So
I mean, I feel like you're trying to rage bait me.
I'm not. I'm really not. It's true. Like, I don't want like LeBron to,
But saying Braun is covering is behind because he didn't because he's saying this and it's about the messenger and the guy was delivering the message is nonsense. Look, the reality of it is it didn't exist until he came into the picture, and that's a fact. People just weren't talking about it. Like our parents and grandparents weren't having that kind of conversation about who had more rings. Like they anointed Michael Jordan the second they saw him because he was more physically talented than anyone they'd ever seen before, right? And honestly, the Bill Russell thing is the greatest example ever in all this because no one ever called him the GOAT. He has 11 rings or whatever, however many, 11, right? No one ever talks about him in no GOAT conversation. And it's BS when they talk about, oh, well, what he did for civil rights. Are we talking about humanitarianism, or are we talking about what you do on the court? You're talking about what you do on the court, then there's no conversation because we've seen a million bigs that are are more talented than him. Period.
All right, but now you're going too deep because
we've seen a bunch of bigs
that are more talented. When they're not playing on peach baskets, but that was way back when it was a different style of play, different era. He wasn't looked at to be a dominant scorer on that team. He was a defensive big who dominated that way. So
but I'm saying if rings are going to be as important as people say they are, then that should be he should be a part of the conversation, right? I mean, he won a bunch of championships, but it's about, or is it more about the team, and that's why you don't talk about him that way? Oh, it's more about the team. So with certain people, it can be more about the team. With other people, it's not. Like Michael Jordan played on a phenomenal basketball team with a phenomenal basketball coach. That's the reality of it. A team that when he walked away from him, they won 55 games without him. 55 games without him, and at the height of his power. He walked away and went to go play baseball, and they went and won 55 games without him. So this idea that Michael Jordan or like all this conversation about rings, it all spirals back to Michael Jordan fans trying to cling on to his legacy and him being the GOAT. And it's the easiest way to do it. It's the only thing they have left. They don't have any other argument left, right? So that's what you're going to use. Okay, cool. But it's a BS argument in team sports. It never made sense. It never made sense. No one says Derek Jeter isn't a great player or isn't a great I know he won a bunch of championships, but I'm saying like no one says he's better than another shortstop because of the amount of championships he won. It's baseball. It's different. Your stats are individualized. You go off the stats. You don't go off of championships. You can help contribute to that championship, but you're not going to go out there and carry a team individually to a championship. I don't think Barry Bonds ever won a World Series ever, and he's a much better baseball player than Derek Jeter. It's not even close.
Basketball and baseball, because a hitter can have 3 or 4 chances in the game. An NBA player, they get 20, 25 chances in a game to make a true difference in what happens in the outcome of the game.
That's facts. That's 100% true. I'm just saying it's a team sport across the board. Football, same thing. And if you want to talk about basketball and there being more chances to affect the game, That's true, and that's absolutely fair. But the reality of it is, if you really look at that situation with basketball and how it all breaks down, if you're looking about it just from a LeBron standpoint, like how many of those final series that he lost were on him that he can sit there and take the blame for. There aren't one in my mind. One.
Yeah, but this is the name of the game, though. Like, the best player is always going to get the brunt of the blame. Or
no one said, yeah,
all
no
the accolades.
No one said that. I'm not saying that he shouldn't get blamed. What I'm saying to you is that to sit there and say, oh, well, he won this amount of championships and the other guy won that amount of championships, and that's what makes the other guy better, when Bron went to like 10 straight finals in his career and literally destroyed franchises for all of our lifetime and was dominant singular force in the NBA and defined what superstardom even meant in our lifetime. To be quite honest with you, defined it. Like, to sit there and act as if like, you know, this legitimate argument because the Jordan versus Bron thing is legitimate argument because he didn't win as many championships as Jordan did. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous in most sports. Okay, it's not just this. It's across the board. People were saying Tyrese Haliburton was gonna be an all-time better point guard than Chris Paul. I saw that. That's how toxic this has gotten. You are out of your mind. You're out of your mind to sit there and say that Chris Paul's the greatest point guard I've ever seen in my life. Pure point guard. Steph Curry is not a pure point guard. He's not a point guard. He's not. Kyrie is not a point guard. All right, John Wall wasn't a point guard. These guys, this guy, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, not even Darren Williams. He wasn't a point guard, right? Like, there weren't many left. It was a dying breed. He's the best point guard I've ever seen in my life. And if people to say that, it's because what? He didn't get a championship. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a team sport. Everybody got to do their job to get that ultimate job done, and you got to get a little lucky along the way. You need a Ray Allen corner three along the way, a Chris Bosh rebound and kick out to him along the way. You need those things to happen. That's the reality of it, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Steph, same thing. You need a KD to come to your team randomly in the most weird move ever. That needs to happen for you to go out there and win 4 rings. Do you having 4 rings means you're a better player than LeBron James? You wish. Are you out of your mind? No. So it's just asinine that we have this conversation about rings. It's the craziest thing I ever heard. But I know why we're here. I know why it's so toxic. It's the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. It's the fact that when Bron won a championship in 2016, conveniently, the Michael Jordan documentary drops right after. It's all along the same line of reasoning. It's all done to dim the light of one other person, so you continue to remind people, hey, I'm still the GOAT. I'm still the GOAT. And now you're taking a job on NBC, so you can remind us more often that you're the GOAT. All right, well, you can remind people that are already under the spell. I don't believe it, never did. So here we are. I believed it up until 2016. Tell you that. Then it all changed. Greatest championship ever won by any player in NBA history, in my opinion, was the 2016 championship by LeBron James. Period. That coming back down from 3-1. Oh, they suspended Draymond. Y'all all think Draymond suck anyways. I told y'all how important Draymond was. Y'all laugh at me. So now it's important? Okay. But only when it's Bron, though. If anybody else had won that series in that fashion, y'all be singing their praises. But because Bron won it that way, it's something you can use to poo-poo on the championship. All right, bro. Like I said, I'm used to all this nonsense. You ain't getting me. You ain't getting me, man. I'm sorry. Championship, this whole ring culture thing is absolute nonsense. Charles Barkley was an incredible basketball player. He didn't win one. He's an incredible basketball player. Incredible. You don't need a championship to validate your career, bro. You don't. Obviously, if you do it for you want to win championships, not everyone gets that done. Not everyone gets that done, man. If Jalen Hurts wasn't on the Eagles, his career could look out different. Like, it's about where you go. It's about where you are. It's about who you play for. It's about the system that you're in that matters. It just does. Justin Herbert went to the Chargers. Jalen Hurts went to the Eagles. That is a huge difference in career trajectory. It affects everything. The Chargers are losers. The Eagles are a competent franchise with great people running the organization. There's a difference. That's what matters, man. Why do you think Eli didn't want to go there? He went to the Giants. Why do you think Eli didn't want to go there? He knew what he was walking into if he went to the Chargers. So he forced his way over to the Giants. It's just the way. Ben Roethlisberger, Steelers, great franchise. So they got one. Like, that's what this is all about. It's about situation and the teams around you and the people calling the shots and the people making the moves, the GMs making decisions. Why Bron had to leave Cleveland the first time around, right, to go play somewhere else because people upstairs were making bad decisions. Having him play with Boobie Gibson, starting 2 guard. Are you kidding me? So, and we're going to sit here about talk about championships? Yo, as far as I'm concerned, the years where Bron dragged Mo Williams, Boobie Gibson, Zildjonas Ilgauskas, Drew Gooden to the championships, the year where he did that, that's a ring for him. And that's a ring. That's a championship. It's the equivalent. It absolutely is. 100%. 100%. Because guess what? Your favorite player, the guy you idolize, Michael Jordan, he couldn't do that. And we'll never know because he never had to because he played for a great team. They're going to sit here and tell me about ring culture. And that's why it exists because they're insecure. I'm telling you, bro. They're insecure. It's who did more or less. Let's have that gold conversation to that stuff. Who did more or less? That's a true testament to greatness. That's all I'm saying.
Put that on a headstone.
Who did
more with less?
That's how you test. That's how you in a team sport. That's how we talk about. That's how we should talk about greatness. That's why we should do it. Simple.
Okay.
Simple.
You're giving out participation trophies. That's what it is.
Whoever carried the most weight. Because some of y'all just come here for the participation trophy. Other people over here carrying the entire project. I done been there. We all went to school. Dude just showed up and then did nothing. But on presentation, they want to sit there and smile in front of the class like an idiot. And meanwhile, you did all the work. That's exactly what Boobie Gibson was. That's what the other guys. I mean, there's a bunch of guys on that team, man. I can't even go go down the list. Damon Jones and all them dudes. Come on, man. Like when you start having the ring conversation about guys like Chris Paul and Charles Barkley and other Hall of Fame level players, or Carmelo Anthony for that matter, right? Okay, one person everyone loves. Everyone gets a hard on for Carmelo Anthony. So we'll use him as an example, right? Like when you compare him to who? Like name a 3 that won a bunch of championships that isn't that good, isn't better than Carmelo Anthony, but Carmelo was never in a situation where he could win one. So it's like we could play this game all day, man. Like, but no one's doing that to Carmelo though. Notice that. Like people will still say Carmelo's better than person X, whoever they may be, regardless, because there's a respect there for Carmelo Anthony, and he's liked by most people. He's likable, and people just gravitate. So that's why we have it's different. The rules are different. People move this goalpost every single day, and that's all I'm saying. Like it's just constant. It's constant. So the ring thing and the ring culture situation is really there to move the goalpost when needed to prop your favorite player above another player of someone else's that they like. So that's all it is. That's all it is.
Looking at, we talk about ring culture. Looking at the NBA Finals, OKC is up 3-2. Takeaways from Game 5, and what's your thoughts on the final so far? I know there was discussion on this podcast specifically about how well the finals would do ratings wise, and would it be interesting, and there isn't much aura or allure to the series. So thus far, we're 5 games in, probably coming to a close soon in Game 6. Thoughts on the finals so far and Game 5?
I mean, I feel like Game 5 will be sort of defined by Haliburton not showing up. I mean, he didn't make a field goal. He had 4 points like that. I don't think they said that had never been done before, or very rare where guys missed every shot that he's taken, like no field goals. And then a great series by J-Dub and Shea, like 2 guys that were going to have to step up for OKC to win. They're 2 All-NBA guys. And right now, I have a feeling like J-Dub, with another good game, is Finals MVP. So that was a statement game that he had in Game 5. And, yeah, OKC finally put their foot on their neck. Like, sure, Tyrese said he didn't have a good game. And, I mean, now the calf injury, for what it's worth, is he going to play on Thursday? Is he not? He better play on Thursday because there's nothing left after that. Like, you got to go out guns blazing. But, yeah, OKC was always the better team in this matchup. The Pacers just know how to maximize the talent on this team, and they play real hard-nosed, pressing you full court, making it tough for you, making Shea get exhausted. But um, I think they finally figured it out, what they have to do. And they let J-Dub sort of play point forward a little bit so Shea's not as tired in the fourth quarter. And I think it's been paying off.
I mean, yeah, I think last game, obviously, like Miles said, J-Dub went crazy. He had a great game. And that's the big difference in the basketball game. And obviously Tyrese, I mean, Tyrese's performance has been so up and down throughout the year that these games where, he has 0 points or 5 points or single digits, right? They're not surprising anymore. I know he was injured and we can say that and we can use that as the excuse for why he didn't play well, and that's fine. But the reality of it is he's been doing that throughout the year when he's been healthy. I think the statistic was 13 games where he scored less than 10 points throughout the course of the regular season. So it's not abnormal for him to do this. And we saw his performance level fluctuate even against the Knicks a little bit too. Like, it's not a new thing. This is not a new trend as well, right? Once that first shot doesn't go in for him, he tends to go into this mode where he's coasting a bit, right, as well. So I think what we're seeing in this series from a bird's eye view is a superstar on one side of the floor, what a superstar does for your franchise. And then Shea, because in that game 4, that pivotal game 4, they made 3 threes in that game and won the game in spite of making 3 threes in this modern NBA. And it was purely because they went to a guard-to-guard screen with Jalen Williams and Shea, and Shea made every big shot down the stretch. I mean, every shot they needed him to make, he made it. And that's the big difference. Like, obviously Tyrese has had some huge shots to end games, some clutch shots, but the difference between Shea and Tyrese, in my opinion, is in their mentality and the way they approach the game, and in the fact that at any given moment, Shea can score. Against any defensive coverage, Shea can pretty much score, regardless of what you're doing to him. And his defensive ability is really impressive too. He defends. Shea defends, right? So it kind of makes up for the fact that he's not this pure point guard who's getting other guys involved, and that he's just a pure scorer trying to get a basket every time he touches the basketball. It makes up for the fact when you defend that way, right? So the best mid-range shooter I've seen in the NBA in a very, very long time, probably since Kobe, to be honest. Like, just as skilled on that level, to be like, it's really special. His ability to make the mid-range jump shot, he specializes there, but he can get to that shot whenever he wants and over any defender. And that's the big reason why the Thunder have always had the edge. And if you look at the entirety of the series, the Thunder have had the greater margin for error. I just said they made 3 threes and won a basketball game. The Pacers are losing that game. If they make 3 threes, only 3 threes, they're losing that game by 30 points. They can't win a basketball game and only make 3 threes. It's not in their DNA. It's not who they are. They're a team that's the sum is greater than any individual on that basketball team. They play as a unit. They get contributions from everyone. Obi Toppin's been really good in this series. Benedict Mathurin had one good game, then went back into hiding. Like, that has been Nemhard. Like, they do it together, right? And when you look at the Thunder, no, they're going to beat you one of 2 ways, okay? And if those 2 things aren't working, then they're going to lose. But the thing is, Shea's on most nights. And that's the difference in the series. So I said before the series, I said the Pacers style play. I think Carlisle deserves a lot of credit because he is purely out-coached Daigneault. Even with Daigneault's most recent adjustments, he's relying on Shea and J-Dub to carry him. And when you look at the Pacers and what they're doing, their defensive tactics, the way Nemhard was guarding Shea, the adjustments they've made, the actions they run, the constant actions they run, the fact that they get it done with bench guys as well, and that they can operate in their system, and that there's a clear-cut system they've operated within. That's a credit to Carlisle and how good of a coach he is, how great of a coach he is. He's a Hall of Fame coach. So regardless of the outcome of this series, he's one of the best coaches in the NBA, and he should write his own ticket and never be fired by that organization. Never, right? So I think that's the big takeaway in the series for me too. But yeah, I think the series ends next game because of the fact that Tyrese isn't healthy. I'm not going to rule out the Pacers. They can certainly put up a fight, and they could win that game. I hope they do to extend the series. It's been a great series from a basketball perspective, phenomenal. But as you guys can see from Stephen A. Smith sitting there playing solitaire, It ain't no sexy names out there. It ain't no big superstars out there. So it's a hard watch sometimes for the people who are a bit more casual, like a Stephen A. Smith. And so it can be tough. It can be tough. So I understand that. He's not a basketball savant, nothing like that. So it's tough.
Hey, so Desmond Bain was traded to the Orlando Magic with all that's going on. Even the Pacers made the trade today, and they're in the finals. Shams and Brian Windhurst. Wendy has alluded it's going to be a extremely busy summer. Not even talking about free agency. We all expect that, but they say it's going to be some trades happening, especially for the draft, which actually starts next week. 8 days, and 8 days round one starts. That's how crazy everything is going to be moving. And if somehow the Pacers force a game 7, 2 days after game 7 is the first round of the draft. So it's literally around the corner. Magic, they didn't want to wait. They got Desmond Bain. The trade was Desmond Bain to the Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, the 16th pick of this year's draft, 2029 slightly protected pick swap, 2028, 2030 unprotected first round picks. What's the ceiling for the Magic now that they have added Desmond Bain to Paolo, Franz, and the rest of the crew, Suggs over there in Orlando?
Semis, like second round, I think. I think they could be good with another year of experience, but that team has dealt with some injuries. Like Suggs has been hurt multiple times. Paolo's missed some time. Franz has missed time in a few seasons. So you'd like to see a little more health from that team. And, I mean, you bring in a guy like Desmond Bain, and sure, that helps you a lot. But does it really push you over the top 4 teams in the East? Does that push you over like a Boston, who, I mean, sure, Tatum's probably out for the year. Cleveland, they'll have another year under their belt. Knicks, I mean, I think they'll still be in that top 3 range next year. Does that put you over teams like that? I don't know. Like, Paolo's good. Franz is good. Are they guys that can get you to a conference finals, push for contender in the Eastern Conference? I don't think so.
I'm the opposite. I think that this team can go to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. I think the East is wide open. It's there for the taking. The Celtics are gonna be in a down year without Jason Tatum being there, obviously, for most of the season, if not all of it. So there's opportunity, and that's why this is a smart trade at a good time for that team, because you understand the opportunity in front of you. You go for it when the Celtics, the power of the East has been dismantled a bit due to the injury and also due to their cap situation. So I love what they did. I think the shooting is necessary. I think Desmond Bain can defend as well. Strong point of attack defender as well. So I like what they did there. Suggs has obviously come a long way as a shooter. I think it's going to come down to the development of guys like Franz Wagner and Paolo as shooters too, if you're going to make a real run at this thing. But defensively, they were phenomenal last year, right? Phenomenal. I think they were one of the best teams in the NBA defensively all year long. So I definitely think that they can continue that trend. They didn't sacrifice too much defensively as well. And so for me, in that Eastern Conference, with how open this thing is, they certainly have a chance. I think very highly of Paolo. I think Paolo is a budding superstar type of talent, just kind of under the surface, and we're kind of waiting for him to step into it. We've seen signs and flashes. He's got to stay healthy, but I think that he has superstar level ability. And he has the ability to be the best, one of the best players in the Eastern Conference, 100%. I fully see that for him with the way he plays the game, with his offensive game and defensive ability, to his versatility defensively. There's no reason why he can't be a top 2 player in the Eastern Conference. That's how highly I think of him. The way I kind of view Cade as well. I think they have that kind of ability and talent as well. So, yeah, no reason why they can't get the job done. I think they added shooting. I think they still need to add a bit more, or they need development from their current guys as shooters to keep the floor spaced out for a guy like Powell to operate. But in the mid-range, mid-post, and also from the three-point line. But I think they have a really good chance to get to the Eastern Conference finals.
Now, KD is also on the trade block. One of the names that's supposed to be traded, Giannis. Doc Rivers came out today and said that's BS and hogwash. He does not want to be traded. I don't know how much stock we could put into that, being that Doc is his coach. And if Giannis does axe out, with Dame being out next year, Doc probably is going to want to retire and not want to coach that team. But KD, what type of trade haul do you think the Suns will get for KD? And also on the aspect of, is there any team, not even a part of his 3 teams he listed, but is there any team in the league that is a KD away from getting to the finals? And this version of KD, obviously.
Houston. I mean, I don't know. There's not many teams that should be really biting at the bit to get KD. Like, even I think it's smart that the Spurs are, playing hardball or just backing off altogether, because I mean, he wants to be in San Antonio. He wants to, hook his reins to another young superstar to try to, bring him over the edge. So do they want to trade assets for that? Like, if they're asking for the second overall pick and something else, like the rookie of the year, that's too much to give up for KD, who, I mean, he's dealt with injuries. Even in the last couple seasons, he's dealt with injuries, and he's 37. How much longer can he stay healthy? Like, he's almost an anomaly where a 7-footer can move that gracefully, where normally they do deal with foot injuries and lower extremity injuries. So that's something that you always have to worry about. And does he raise your ceiling that much than what you already have? I think the Spurs, they've got a good squad right now. They got De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, the second overall pick, the rookie of the year. Like, they've got pieces on this team, and they could be really good. They could be a threat in the next few years in the Western Conference. And like the Miami Heat, I don't know why they would do it. I feel like they should. The smart thing for them to do would kind of be to blow it up and just reset. Like, I don't think they're in a position to make a Kevin Durant trade. I feel like it would be malpractice to trade for him if I'm Pat Riley. But who knows? He's on his last dance. So I don't know many teams that want KD right now. And I mean, the obvious that seems to be at the forefront is Minnesota. Like, they are, clamoring to get him. And I feel like he would be a good fit next to Ant, but I mean, nobody want to go to Minnesota. So that's the main thing. Like, KD doesn't want to go to Minnesota. He's not going to be able to predict or push his way to some of these other good teams like he wants to. So he might end up in Minnesota just because that's the best offer on the table. And he'll have to, deal with some cold. It's a little different from Phoenix. So
I think the thing to remember with KD at this point in his career, wherever he goes, he can't be the guy. That's why I think Miami does not work. If he goes to Miami and for whatever reason, somehow Miami Heat get their hands on KD, he is the best guy on that team in Miami. And you're going to be asking KD to show up 82 games in the regular season and actually show up in the playoffs. And we know he's probably not playing 82 games. Tyler Hero had a pretty good season last year. Bam just refuses to go to that next level. He just wants to be the all-around player. He doesn't want to take that next step. Miami, like Miles said, Pat, if he makes this call and makes this trade, we really might have to check him into hospice.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the Rockets make the most sense. We said it before. It's logical. You talk about the Rockets and the fit between KD and the Rockets, because they're missing that scoring option that right next to a guy a man who can't really score, and obviously they can get rid of Jalen Green, which is addition by subtraction at that point. So that'd be a great situation for them. But outside of that, if you're looking at teams around the league that feel like they can get over the hump of the KD on their team, I do think the Timberwolves make a little bit of sense. I think it's a guy who can take pressure off of Anthony Edwards from a basketball perspective, too. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. And could you imagine how much better your team is if you're replacing Julius Randle with Kevin Durant? I mean, it's like the greatest increase ever if you're talking about, and how much better you can be, and how much better your team's going to be offensively. So yeah, I think they should really explore that and get aggressive for Kevin Durant, whether he wants to go there or not, even if it's just a year-long rental, whatever. Like, be aggressive for that move, because you never know. You never know how long Ant's going to be there and be happy being there. Anyways, you might as well go for it and get the most out of your investment either way. Outside of those two teams, I don't really see a situation where you can go and make a difference and help him get a championship, like just with his presence alone, right? I think the big thing when you talk about Kevin Durant is the big debate is, hey, he's a Hall of Famer. Has he done enough to merit the right to make this decision on his own and have teams honor his feelings in this situation? I wish that was the way it worked. It's not. I think sometimes it can be, but what makes this situation a lot easier? When you have a home, when you have an organization you played for a long time, like Kobe to the Lakers, like Dwayne Wade to Miami, and even with Miami, Pat Riley did him dirty. But like there are situations where it does work out, where you mean so much to a city, to a state, to an organization that you really can call your shot, like Steph Curry with the Warriors. If he asked for a trade, they would trade him wherever he wanted to go, just because of what he's meant to that city, right? So there's sentimental value there. There's no sentimental value when it comes to Kevin Durant. He rents everywhere he goes. He's leasing all the time in every city, with every organization. It's a lease, a year-to-year situation. And when you operate that way, when you operate like you're a contractor, a gun for hire, so to speak. When you operate that way, you think you're John Wick. They're going to treat you like that, and they're going to move you around left and right how they feel like they want to move you around. So in this situation, the Suns do not owe Kevin Durant anything. He accomplished nothing wearing that jersey, absolutely nothing. And so they should do what's best for them, because guess what? You mortgaged the crib to get him. And you let go of a team and a core that could have been sustainable for the next 10 years with McCown, all them dudes, and Cam Johnson, and a bunch of really good players, and it could have been sustainable in our current CBA with the aprons and everything. You could have probably kept that team together, right? And you didn't. And you went for broke and went for a big three, and it didn't work. And so now you need to recoup as many assets as you can. And so if that means that you have to trade him to Minnesota or Toronto or one of these random teams, you go ahead and you do it. You go and you don't think twice about it. He doesn't have no trade clause. He doesn't have you over a barrel, right? And as much as people want to talk about the Nets, the Nets did what was best for Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant called the shot going to Phoenix. Well, Phoenix had a great deal for the Nets too. It was probably the best deal they would have gotten. So they came out smelling like roses on the other side of this thing, right? Or the Nets did. So I don't think that's valid. I think Kevin Durant has declined for quite some time. I've been on this mountain by myself saying it for a long time. I've been seeing the signs of decline in his explosiveness, in his decision making, in the way that he handles ball pressure, and the way that he handles defenses loading up on him as well. I've seen a decline in those aspects of his game. People will look at the stats and go 50, 40, 90. He's still Kevin Durant. He can do that in his sleep. That's not the barometer in which I'll gauge his performance. Basketball is a lot more than scoring, guys. Like, you got to be able to make good decisions because teams are going to load up on you. What are you doing when the odds aren't in your favor offensively? And he's not doing a good job with that stuff. He isn't. So, and the injuries also, but that comes with age. So, I just think when you talk about Kevin Durant, you got to look at all those factors, and that's why teams are basically saying, hey, the name don't match the game. Like, it's a better name than it is a game, right? Like, I heard some Eastern Conference executives say that. I was doing a podcast, and basically, like, Eastern Conference exec said, hey, like, it's Kevin Durant. It's great. Like, the name is great, but the game hasn't been great the last few years. It's been good. It's been very good. Right, he's kind of on that Paul George trajectory a little bit, much better than Paul George. Don't get me wrong, but in the sense of, like, you can see a decline. It's happening in front of you if you're willing to open your eyes and acknowledge it. So that's what we're seeing. So, hey, guess what? I'm right. The NBA guys think I'm right. So, I'm here for a reason.
Did you want to add anything to this, Miles?
I think just one thing, just the trade aspect of it. It's tough to trade his contract too, where you got to match salaries and outgoing players, and most likely in order to match the 51 million or 54 million, you're gonna have to trade one of your key pieces on this team, and I don't know many teams that are willing to give up key pieces for Kevin Durant at this point. Like the Knicks already said no, because in order to match, they'd have to trade maybe OG and Mikal for Durant, and I don't know if that makes them any better. That's why I think they're just going to run it back with the team that they got right now.
It might make them better.
And add pieces to it.
It might make them better. Mikal was that bad, man. Mikal better bounce back. I hope so. I know I like OG and everything. OG's cool. He was really good and everything, and I understand his value. The biggest reason why I don't have a problem with the Knicks going all in for KD, I'd probably be lobbying for it. But because of Tibbs and how bad he was and how terrible he was offensively as a coach, I'd like to see them with someone under the coach before you make that kind of decision. Although the way life works, it's funny, right? Opportunity don't always life's all about timing. So by the time you figure that out and you have a new coach who has a better offensive system, if you still could get to the same point and don't get over the hump and don't get to the championship and don't win one, well, guess what? There's no KD on the market then either. So I guess then you're kind of starting back at square one. But well, you live and learn. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think he makes sense for the Knicks. It's just about what they give up to get him. But I do think they need that scoring. They need something other than Jalen Brunson dribbling the top of the key and everybody watching. They need some scoring.
Hey, to give some more flowers, because I know I don't mind. A lot of people sometimes have not caught on fully to see the content, which is why we told me press that, smash that like button, share, and subscribe. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is the same people that are on the bigger platforms that y'all love so much, they say stuff that we said sometimes a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. One of the things that's been said, again, I'm going to give the flowers. Greg said this probably, what was that, 3-4 years ago, when Russ was in Washington, that the end would not be kind to Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has opted out of his player option with the Denver Nuggets. Are we looking at now the end for Russell Westbrook, or do you see a possible fit? Maybe he goes back to Denver. Is that what we're seeing right now happening, that something Greg said years ago is coming into fruition?
It should be. It should be over. I don't know what team signs. What do you benefit? Like, what are you getting by signing Russell Westbrook onto your roster right now? Like, he's gonna give you like a solid 12 minutes at this point in his career. And it's not about his age or the fact that he can't get up and down and play or he's not well conditioned. It's just about what he does on the floor. Like, who wants to play with that kind of offensive liability on the floor? Like, that's my thing. You know what I mean? I think it's really hard to do that. The jump shot development never happened. It just never happened. It fell off a cliff after those exciting years in OKC. We never saw it again. The pull-up game is gone. It's gone. And so and that was his bread and butter outside of him getting to the rim and barreling dudes over and jumping over dudes and everything and being the basketball Tarzan that he is. So when you look at it from that aspect, it's like, okay, well, what am I bringing him onto my team for? For morale? Like, because everyone likes him? Because he's going to get us some offensive rebounds? That's valuable. But how valuable is it to your franchise, and how much are you willing to pay for it? Right? That's the big question you have to answer when you talk about adding Russell Westbrook to your team as well. I think he understands it's near the end for him. I know he's probably going to try to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon, so to speak, or whatever, and try to play as long as he can, hang on for dear life, a lot of these guys do, and I understand why they would. But I just don't see what team adds him, and I don't see how it makes any sense. If you're a young rebuilding organization, you're trying to play young guys. You're trying to play your young point guard. You're trying to develop guys. So Russell Westbrook doesn't make any sense unless you have him in there as a mentor. And even then, I don't know. Like, I'm skeptical about his ability to mentor the young guys. Maybe he could. I'm sure I've heard good things about his personality, so he could. Okay, cool. And if you're a team in the middle, you sure as heck don't want to add him because he might mess around and win you a game by mistake. With just his effort, right? It's contagious. If you're a championship team, maybe you value that effort, right? But you'd probably rather have the shooting and defense and get it from somewhere else if you can. So I think we're looking at the end, and I'm not surprised it's ending badly. And it's for all the reasons I've always said, which I just stated a moment ago. So, yeah, man. Again, I'm here for a reason.
Looking at some other possible names that will be possibly traded, I'm gonna list some names. Y'all tell me if you think they get traded and possibly a good fit for them. So a little bit of rapid fire. Jaylen Brown, does he get traded? If so, where's a good fit?
I don't think they trade him. I don't think he's getting traded.
Lauri Markkanen.
They've been dangling him for years. You know, Lauri. I think
maybe
with
Detroit or something like that.
Yes, I think I can see that. With the report that Sham said about this offseason being the most active we may ever see, then fine. I can see them maybe coming off of him. I think he's one of those guys that could end up getting traded. But okay, like so exciting.
Ja Morant.
Brooklyn.
I'm gonna. I wish. I'm gonna say that he doesn't get traded. I think the Grizzlies, what they're going to do is, I think they traded Bane because they didn't want to get into the luxury tax because they didn't want to pay Bane. So they traded him so they could re-sign Jaren Jackson Jr. and they could re-sign Ja and try to make a new iteration of the basketball team under the luxury tax because they're cheap over there, right? Outside of their barbecue, they ain't really exporting too many goods. So if you got to think about those things when you're playing over there. And so I think that's the big reason why they made that move. It's more financial, but they're going to try to keep a product on the floor that people will come and watch over there in Memphis because, again, ain't much else to do besides go eat some ribs, which ain't a bad consolation prize, by the way.
Zion Williamson.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say he stays put.
I'm going to say he stays put. I think they're going to put up with him for one more year. And I also think it's for a lot of the same reasons I named about New Orleans is obviously a fun city, but I think they have to keep an appealing product on the floor and give it one more run. Trae Young. I think he gets traded. I've been saying it for I know we talked about it. I think Trae Young gets traded. They just got a new GM. He has no ties to Trae Young. I can see them moving off of him and going into a complete youth movement. This version of this basketball team with Trae Young being their best player is not going to win a championship. They've tried it over and over and over again. And they don't seem to be a free agent destination. And plus, free agency is not how you're going to win the NBA nowadays anyways with this new CBA. I think there's a lot of reasons why. I think it's hard to build a team around him that can win. And they traded away DeAndre Hunter, who was a great guy to have to cover him and shield him defensively. They're kind of already firing off warning shots, telling you, hey, like we're breaking this thing down piece by piece. And they're not going to get a great return for Trae Young because it's hard to fit him into every system. And because of his defensive liability and where he is defensively, is going to be hard to make him fit in certain places. But I do think they're going to look to make a move on him and really fire up a full-on rebuild.
Houston, could that be an option? If the outcome or the trade value is that low, they need a point guard.
I don't
have to Reed Shepherd, but I mean, if you can get a Trae Young in there, mixed with Amen and Sengun.
Obviously, it'd be great if they can get him. I think it'd fit. I don't think he goes to a contending situation if he gets traded. I think he's going to go somewhere. Yeah, I think he's going to go somewhere in a rebuild.
That would want him right now.
I think a team that's middling or not very good is going to go after him. I think it's going to be. I think the Nets are a legitimate spot for him. I think that could happen. I think that they could go make a trade for him, have him at point guard. If they don't get a point guard in this year's draft, fears they don't end up getting him. They can go get him and come up with some picks for him, right? And for not too much, pay him and try to kind of accelerate a rebuild that way and build around him. It could happen, but we'll see. We'll see.
Cam Johnson.
Yes, he's getting traded.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be a Net very much longer. I think the Nets are going to be aggressive on draft night, trying to move up. He could be traded by next week. By the next podcast we might be talking about him getting traded.
Nick Claxton.
Traded. I think he goes to LA.
I think it's possible. I'm not sold. I'm not sold they're going to trade him. I'm not totally sold. But it's possible. I'm going to say no. I want to lean towards more no. It's like 51, 49%. 51 saying
Last
no.
one, Bradley Beal.
Yeah, well, they couldn't pay us to take him, so they got to pay to give it to him. What are they gonna give? They ain't got assets to give up.
Pay him soon.
You see, here's the thing too. Like the Magic, the reason why the Bane trade was so crazy and so the return was so crazy for Bane is because they were in large part paying for them to take KCP's contract because they didn't want KCP. So can you imagine how, as bad as Bradley Beal's been, how much the Phoenix would have to attach to him and assets to get rid of him with that contract and the no trade clause? Oh my God, they can't afford to give him up. I think Phoenix is in the worst position I've seen a team be in a very long time. I mean that they don't have their own assets. They have no real way out. If I were them, I'd even think about keeping Kevin Durant. I know it's the only asset they have, but I might keep it to just have a watchable product on the floor. They're not going to do that now. It's too late, but hopefully they get a decent return for him because they're in a bad spot, that Phoenix team.
They should trade D-Book, honestly.
They should consider it. They should take calls. They're not going to, but they probably should. They probably, because you put yourself in such a nasty hole with HB's over aggressiveness. Then now you got to look for a way out. I know what Book means to the city. Like he has a home. They're gonna treat him right. He has a home. That's what happens. Katie should have done that. But the reality is I think because of what he means, they're not going to do it. But they probably should look into it.
That's a good point. I think about it now. If they don't get what they want, make KD stay, and then he'll walk next year. Y'all not getting what y'all want. You want whatever you want to get. KD wants to go to certain places. I think the market is bigger for him as a free agent next year. It'll 100%. Be more teams,
yeah.
It'll be more teams willing. So if Ishbia doesn't get what he wants, because that's who it is, the GM don't have no say in this. If Ishbia doesn't get the return that he wants, make that joker stay. KD loves basketball. He'll play another year. He won't be happy, but so what? They not gonna win nothing anyway. So make that joker stay. Worst case, he stays. Oh, cool. We're in the play-in again. All right. He gonna play. No. It's not. Oh well. And the hope that if KD leaves, that Bradley Beal's gonna play better. Y'all better keep hoping. That's not why he wasn't playing better. That's not it. So,
I mean, the Timberwolves offer is not that bad.
Yeah, but I think they're still in a little bit trying to like make him happy. Either send him to Minnesota or make him stay for that last year.
I'd send him to Minnesota. You're getting assets back. You can field a decent team. Like, you want to make him happy, or do you want to put out a product on the court?
Well, I mean, it's Ishbia. That's the thing. He brought this whole roster together anyway, so I don't know if we consider him a basketball savant and he has much basketball IQ and knowledge. Because we know Stevie Wonder isn't blind, but let's just say for this argument's sake that Stevie Wonder is blind. He saw this wasn't going to work. KD, Bill, and Book, and
there was no point
in this situation, I feel the worst for Book because he was clamoring and trying to play winning basketball, and at this rate, it seems like we're going to see D-Book dropping 70 and some L's and complaining about double teams again. Because
I think this is a full circle moment, and we have these every now and then. People are going to talk about Booker when it's all said and done, and they're going to talk bad about him and say that he's this and that he's that and that he's not better than this person, this two guard. He's not better than Anthony Edwards. Devin Booker, make no mistake about it, is the best shooting guard in the basketball. Period. It's not a debate I'm even willing to have. If you understand the game and you saw what he did for Team USA and saw his defensive impact and how he understands how to play winning basketball, that is a championship player. That's a winning player. He's one of the best basketball players in the league. He's a top 10 player in basketball. Devin Booker, top 10 player in basketball. I'm not reneging on that. That is one of the best players in the world. And so if this guy ends his career with no championships, people will try to say, you know, he's this, he's that, he's not better than this person. We'll hear some egregious stuff. Devin Booker is one of the best basketball players in the NBA. He's a future Hall of Famer for sure. And I understand why they don't want to trade him. I understand that. He's the heartbeat of that organization, that franchise. But they didn't do right by him. They tried, though. They went all in, and it's a little bit tougher to be angry, but they didn't do right by him. The Bradley Beal trade was a horrible decision that should get people fired, but you can't fire an owner. So that's the situation that you're in. But Devin Booker is phenomenal. I just gotta state that. I was talking to somebody earlier this week. I'm like, he's still the best 2 guard in the league. He's still better. He's better than Anthony Edwards. In my opinion, that man is better than Anthony Edwards. I will say that like over and over again. He does everything that Anthony Edwards doesn't do from a technicality standpoint. He has a back to the basket game, face up game, score at the rim, better 3-point shooter. What else? He's a better defender. He is. You just won't talk about it. He is. You don't. I know Anthony Edwards makes more splash plays. Devin Booker is a better basketball player and a smarter one too.
Shout out to Kevin O'Connor and Synergy Sports. He put out an article, and I want to ask you guys this because, like I said, the draft is next week, and one of the biggest questions is, as we kind of alluded to, what will the Spurs do at 2? Now, it's been said that, hey, they should go get Harper. Now, we mentioned it earlier in the episode about the aspect and the importance of having spacing and shooting. I'm going to throw these stats out here that was on Synergy Sports regarding possible 3 guards that they have on the roster if they do draft Harper. And then y'all let me know what the Spurs should do with the pick. I'll give you options. So, spot up threes in his career so far, De'Aaron Fox is 35%. He's 31% on pull-up threes, 41% on pull-up twos, 74% on free throws. In Castle's first season as a rookie and in his college career, he's 29% on spot-up threes, 24% on pull-up threes, 36% on pull-up twos, 73% on free throws. In Dylan Harper's college and high school career, he was 33.7% on spot-up threes, 28% on pull-up threes, 32% on pull-up twos, and 72% from the free throw line. On a team with Wemby, these 3, if they decide to draft Harper, there's no shooting with your guards right there as your point guards in that rotation.
Yeah.
Should the Spurs, with this, option 1, should they draft Harper, keep Fox and Castle? Option 2, should they trade Stephon Castle at his highest trade value possible? Should they trade down or trade for a superstar?
Trade down.
Yeah,
I would think they should be fielding those calls, and I don't know if they're bluffing. Obviously, I know they were in Jersey earlier this week working them out of Don Bosco, so they're really laying it on thick with the Dylan Harper stuff. It's a terrible basketball fit, and I think when you're a team as good as the Spurs are from top to bottom, you have to worry about basketball fit. You don't just take the best player blindly. You just traded for De'Aaron Fox. Like that is your franchise point guard for everything you gave up for that guy, right? Like if they draft Dylan Harper, they're literally going to be trading one of these guards in the next year or so because it's not going to work. Don't make the mistake that other organizations have made and not putting as much shooting on the floor as possible around their best player, right? Like that doesn't make any sense at all. So a Con Kneppel makes more sense for them than Dylan Harper does, right? Like a shooter, a guy who could space the floor. Even VJ Edcombe makes a little more sense. He can't shoot the ball yet, but if you're looking at long-term upside and growth, you can get that from him eventually with time. There is the ability for him to become a really good shooter as well. So there are guys in this class that can help them. Carter Bryant makes more sense in the back end of the top 10. Playing for Arizona as a 3-and-D wing with incredible athleticism, you can add him to the mix, and it's more of a seamless fit playing 3 next to those 2 guards as well. So, and you can be just a nasty defensive team with him in the lineup too. So they should be at least taking calls, and I hope they are, and I hope they're being competent about the situation and not being stupid because Dylan Harper doesn't make a lot of sense for them, and it's not good for his career. It's not the best move for his career. You're not getting the reps you need on ball as the main primary pick and roll ball handler that you need to become the player you're going to eventually become. What we can end up seeing with Dylan Harper is kind of like that early OKC stint with James Harden, where it was kind of like just buried. And we kind of see him in stints off the bench, and you can see he's really, really talented, but we don't know if he's going to be really great. Like, and then he has a moment, and it's like, okay, well, on the back end of his rookie deal going into his next contract, we see him ascend into a superstar or star level player in the NBA because he's finally got the opportunity to have the rock in his hands. You don't want to be there. Like, you want your next contract to be as fat as possible and to get as much money as possible. That means you need to have the ball in your hands. Kind of like what Ace Bailey's doing now, where he's purposefully turning down visits with other teams, trying to force his way to a team outside the top 5 who promised him like more minutes, more on-ball opportunities, right? Playing in the city he wants to play in. That's the report about him right now. It makes sense. Do we love Ace Bailey on this podcast? I don't think we're all big fans of his game because of the way his shot died. But the logic makes sense though. Like what he's doing actually makes a lot of sense because it's like, yo, I want to go to a situation where I can maximize my potential and maximize my bag at the end of the contract. Period. That's what I'm looking to do, right? So yeah, and also if you're on a championship timeline, like the Spurs will eventually be, Dylan's not on the timeline. There's that too. Like he's looking to develop. You're not looking to develop young players and winning a championship. So that's why it makes less sense.
I wonder if like a Cam Johnson in the Nets trade to get up to 2.
It makes so much sense.
It does.
It makes so much sense. And
they need the shooting. They need the wing. They don't need another guard. They need a wing who can hit shots around Wemby. And Cam Johnson's going to be highly coveted in the offseason. So, like, why not get ahead of it? You move down. You're still in the top 10 because you'd get that 8th pick. I mean, why not? I don't know why it's not being talked about more.
It makes too much sense.
Better prospect, VJ or Ace?
Ace is the better prospect. But VJ is, I feel like, the more sure thing to be a productive NBA player. I feel like Ace, there's so much that could go wrong, but then there's also the part that teams might be afraid of. What if we pass on this guy and he turns out to be early Indiana Paul George or other wing guys that can create a shot? And, you know, the development will come in the NBA if he's working hard enough at it. You can't coach tough shots. I mean, if he's making them, you can curb it a little bit, but you don't want to take that fully away from him. But you also don't want him to just get into that wild zone of taking bad shots. So I do like VJ Edgecombe as a prospect. I think defensively he brings an edge. He's athletic. He feels like a guy that would be perfect on OKC. Like this is the type of guy that OKC would pick if they had a pick this high. But
he reminds me of Andre Iguodala. Like that's kind of what early Andre Iguodala is kind of the comp I see for VJ Edgecombe. It's exactly who he reminds me of. Above the rim, he can stretch the floor vertically, run the floor, and get you easy points in transition because he's faster than everybody and more athletic. Not the best shooter immediately, but later on in his career becomes a respectable one because they say he's a great kid who loves basketball and works really, really hard. So that stuff matters too. And I think that will give you an opportunity to get a kid like him in the building and him be better and give you a chance to win, championships with that kind of guy down the line. So he's a safer pick. He's a safer pick than Ace, but Ace is the kind of guy you don't necessarily pass up if you have the right coaching staff in place to get him to stop taking stupid shots. Because if you can do that and get him to buy in defensively, which I think you can, I don't worry so much about the defensive part, believe it or not. It's the shots part, like the shots you're taking part, and how to impact winning and learning that part. You have a great player on your hands. So he's worth the shot. He is. It's tantalizing talent. That's what it is. So we'll see.
Better prospects, Fears or Harper?
I'm going to go Fears. Man. I think Fears is the most creative guy with the basketball in his hand in the entire class. I don't think there's anyone better with the ball in his hands out of a pick and roll, coming down the floor, creating than Fears. Fears has like it reminds me of the Kyrie type of level of creativity. He's not Kyrie, obviously. He's not that. But he is so great with improvising. He has an answer for everything defenses do. He has a million different types of offensive moves. He's the kind of guy that's going to put butts in seats in the NBA, could be a superstar level player if this thing hits the right way and he goes to the right situation because of the ability to make shots. It's a miracle that we haven't heard that the Spurs are working him out. Because if you're looking at point guards, then maybe you want to look at Fears, right? Which wouldn't make sense for them right now anyways. But Fears is a better shooter than Dylan Harper is as well right now. Like, there's that part too. I think Fears is a better basketball player right now. Does that mean that Dylan can't be better in the long run? No, Dylan has a lot of upside because of his physicality, how tall he is, his ability, his feel for the game, his passing. But Fears is an incredible offensive player, man. So I'll go with Fears in this one because I think he's special at like one specific thing, which is scoring. He's special. As opposed to Harper, who's good at a lot of different things. Really good at a lot of different things.
Hey, looking at the NFL training camps and mini camps and the mandatory showing up and practices and all that is in full effect. We will be getting some preseason of football in like a month and a half, I believe. So NFL is right around the corner. Finally, we talked about it on this show. Finally, Aaron Rodgers signed on dotted line. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler. What is the ceiling for the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers?
Same as last year. I just don't think that they're that much better than they were with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Like, sure, Rodgers is great. I mean, he'll be a Hall of Famer, top 5 quarterback, all that. But that's not the Rodgers you're getting right now. You're getting a 41-year-old Rodgers who has his mobility zapped. I mean, he's going to be 2 years removed from an Achilles injury, but still, even last year, he wasn't moving that great. And I don't think he's going to be moving much better now. I mean, he's not going to gain athleticism at this point in his career. So they're going to have to figure it out. I mean, they do have DK. That could be a special tandem there. But outside of that, I mean, who else is a threat next to DK? Just got rid of Pickens. Sure, you've got the second-year guy out of Michigan, but you can't really rely on that guy. And then you've got the tight end. So it's not a pretty sight on offense for Pittsburgh. I mean, that was his only option. He didn't really have many options to go for in free agency, and I mean, this might be his last dance. I think he's hanging it up after this season, but yeah, maybe 7-8 wins for Pittsburgh.
I think I agree with Miles, but for different reasons. I think they could win 9 games, 10 games with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. I think he's better than Russell Wilson is. I think it'll be an upgrade, but that's not really the concern. It's the fact that they have the same play caller calling plays. I think it's Matt Canada. Is that who it is over there with the Steelers calling plays now? And they're awful. They're awful. I read an article saying that Russell Wilson couldn't audible at the line of scrimmage last year and change plays. That he had to run. They had to run the ball when he had run plays called. And so I don't know if they're going to give Aaron Rodgers that freedom and that they refuse to give to Russell Wilson. If they do, I think we all know why that's the case, but it's a different conversation, I guess. But I just have questions about the offense and the guy who's calling the plays and the scheme overall. It's not so much about the pieces. I think they have enough at the receiver position to win and be competitive, and they have enough a quarterback to at least get you 9-10 wins. And especially defensively, but I just think their coaching offensively is so bad. So I have no belief in them at all. And I think they're going to win anywhere from 8 to 10 games, but you can go closer to the 8 number. I think Miles is probably closer to what it would be.
And that same division, we had somebody that used to be a part of the show. Maybe he would have been able to do a better job of explaining what's going on over Cincinnati. But they have yet to sign Trey Hendrickson to an extension. Shamar Stewart is at home with us. He doesn't have a deal. And they lost Jermaine Pratt, a key defensive piece on their team in Cincinnati. With these losses and with them having issues still signing some pretty important pieces on the defensive line, are we seeing Joe Burrow's first MVP season loading up this year? Because they got him the offensive pieces still. We know how great he is. He still might be able to help them win some games. We know they probably won't go far because of them being cheap, not paying the defensive line. But Joe Burrow MVP season loading?
I mean, if the defense isn't that improved, and then you're you're playing, a dangerous game with Trey Hendrickson, and then your first round pick could re-enter the draft next year. You're not off to a great start in the offseason. And sure, you have Joe Burrow, you've re-signed T. Higgins, you got all the weapons in the world. But if you can't stop a nosebleed, then how can Joe Burrow win an MVP? I mean, if they win, they're going to get in shootouts this year. That's what I'm going to say. They're going to get in a lot of shootouts. And, yeah, more times than not, I'd put my money on Joe to win those games. But like we've seen plenty of times in the past, a quarterback can only do so much. Like if a defense isn't stopping the other team from getting down the field or controlling the time of possession, it's hard for a team to win. So they need to stop being cheap, pay Trey Hendrickson. He's one of the best players in the NFL. Scrap this little dispute with Shamar Stewart, even though I don't think he's that good. But
it's not a little dispute though. What they're trying to do is it's unprecedented, and they are so cheap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's embarrassing what they're trying to do to him because
it's crazy that they're dragging it out. And if I was him, if this goes on for another week, I'm just scrapping the whole thing and just entering the draft next year. Just train and get ready for the draft next year, because this is not an organization that I could trust. Like, I feel like the trust is slowly being broken with him and the Bengals. So, yeah, you can screw them over. They'll get like a compensatory pick, but they'll lose that first round pick because of some stupid, I don't know. The GM's an idiot. I'm not a fan of the Bengals, so this doesn't affect me. But I know one guy this affects.
Hey, not only that aspect of the contracts, but I believe in the last 2 or 3 years, the player poll that votes like the team and the locker room, Bengals are always at the bottom of the facilities not being up to date. We already know the rumors of the jock straps being shared, so this is nothing new in regard to just being a cheap, terrible franchise. At some point, we won't see it happen, but this is a situation where it's like maybe you got to find blackmail on the owners so you could get new owners in Cincy, because the NFL isn't going to step in and replace them for being honestly terrible owners. Their D-line is going to be a question all season until they figure this out. A team where a D-line really might sneak up on some teams. The New York Giants. We've seen some of the videos already from camp. Granted, it is camp. It's not any, another team. They haven't started playing preseason or anything of that sort. But with the Giants adding Chauncey Golston, Roy Robertson Hams, Abdul Carter, Darius Alexander, two already having Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, we know how good he is, and Kayvon Thibodeau. Will this Giants D-line be better or worse than what they had last year?
Oh, it's better. Like, Abdul Carter is like, he could be an all-pro, like, as soon as year one. That's how good I think that kid is. And then he's paired next to Brian Burns. Like, I don't care about Thibodeau. He could shoot all.
I think he's going to break out. He's going to break out.
But I also don't think he's their third best pass rusher at this point. He can shoot all the commercials he wants, do all the ice buckets with Kevin Hart. Like, I don't care about that guy anymore. But you've got two generational talents in Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, and that's not even mentioning Dexter Lawrence in the middle. So this D-line is shaping up for a hell of a season, and that's a D-line that you can ride throughout the season, and that's going to win you some games. So Giants could be a sleeper. They're, depending on who starts at quarterback, I think this team can make some noise out there.
I think the Giants could have the best D-line in football. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I think they do. I think they do on paper. I think they eventually will when you see it on the field. And as long as guys stay healthy, you got the best nose tackle in potentially this generation outside of Aaron Donald playing in the middle, and Dexter Lawrence. He's incredible. He's the best in the league. And I don't think it's particularly close, to be quite honest with you. And you've got these incredible edge rushers And I think Kayvon is being slept on too, and I think he's a contract here for him too. So he's going to play really good football. And the thing about them that makes them special is they can come at you in waves. They have so many different guys they can sub in and be fresh, and they don't have to keep the same guys out there very long. So this what was a weakness last year for this roster, or weakness is strong, but what was a question mark is no longer a question mark, and easily the backbone of this organization and the team, and that's the entire defense for the Giants. So, and that's what Giants football is, by the way. That's when they've been great, when they can get after the quarterback. So, I think they're going to be the best D-line in football. I do think the Giants have the best talent on the line.
Hey, closing out the show, we always gonna give y'all baseball talk. We gonna give y'all golf when we actually recording, when it's on. Baseball aspect, Rafael Devers, I'm not sure how you pronounce it correctly, but he's been traded from the Red Sox, which is yet again another big name to be traded. They traded Mookie Betts. What's your thoughts on the Red Sox trading him? As y'all know, similar to the Bengals situation, issues with the front office. You gonna play third base? You not gonna play third base? We gonna put you at shortstop. We don't see you this way. Now he's traded. He is a San Francisco Giant in exchange for left-hander Kyle Harrison, reliever Jordan Hicks, outfielder prospect James Tibbs III, and rookie pitcher Jose Bello.
I mean, this is why communication is key. When you have your best player, one of the best players in baseball, you think he would have a frontline phone to the owner, to the GM. There would be no confusion. But it all started when they signed Alex Bregman in the offseason and came into spring training basically saying that you're going to be a DH. You're going to be Big Papi moving forward. And, I mean, he signed that long-term deal planning to be the long-term third baseman. Granted, he's not a good third baseman. He stinks. This is why you sign a Bregman to come in and take his spot. But that was just the icing on the cake for what was going to be a tumultuous start to the season. Like, there's been bickering back and forth. He's not hustling the first base. I think he wanted out. He felt disrespected. They gave him what he wanted. And, I mean, it's a cycle with this Red Sox team. Like, you have some generational pieces. You got Mookie Betts, who, I mean, guys like that don't get traded. Like, you don't trade a Mookie Betts. And same with Devers. You don't trade a guy who's a 35 and 130 guy every season. So there was some disconnect there. But, I mean, the Giants jumped at this kind of similar to the Lakers jumping for Luka. Like, this guy wouldn't be on the market otherwise. And the Giants see a path to possibly making a run here. Like, they're second in the West in their division to the Dodgers by a few games. And they have a good squad. They have a good squad right now. And this is going to be a great piece to add. They're in competition with the Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, and this puts them right there in the West to make a run to the World Series. So I know Buster Posey's the new prez over there, and he's been really aggressive with some of his moves that he's made, you know, bringing in a shortstop off of free agency, signing Robbie Ray, you bring in Verlander, you sign Matt Chapman to a long-term deal, and then you trade some prospects, none of them generational, for a generational type hitter in Rafael Devers. He's along the lines of like a Manny Ramirez type, where the bat skills are just crazy. Like, I'm glad he's out of the American League East because he tormented the Yankees for far too long. And now we don't have to face that guy anymore. So thank you to Breslow, the GM over there in Boston, for messing up another generational talent in Boston. I know Boston fans hate him. Same way Dallas fans hate Nico.
Yeah, Boston fans should just be concerned about their viability as a free agency destination moving forward, because that's not going to be the case. You better build this thing through the farm system. So if that's the main concern with Boston, it's tough enough to attract talent being in Boston for the stigmas that's on these Boston fans. And I don't got to tell you, if you know, you know. But then obviously to have the idiot running the show the way they do over there right now, and to get that minimal of a return for Devers. And funny enough, Devers goes somewhere else and says, "Oh, I'll play wherever you want me to play, first base, whatever. I don't care." And he goes there and says that. But the whole debate over the whole issue was that in Boston, because he didn't want to work with the front office because he felt disrespected because they didn't speak to him. So they don't know how to work. They don't know how to work with stars, and stars are going to pay attention to that, and they're going to have a hard time attracting that talent moving forward. So yeah, it's going to be a long few years, maybe more than a few years for Boston fans as they rebuild this thing.
Devers went over there and said, "I'll play whatever you want me to play." Devers said, I stay ready, so I got to get ready. It was just them jokers over in Boston. I ain't had nothing to do with. We out. Bench Mob. Peace.
Peace.